What's up, my peoples out there in college football nation? It's time for the week one reaction, overreaction, love fest, talk shit fest, whatever you want to say fest. The mighty Florida Gators. I told Faro I'm not donning a Gator paraphernalia until we beat a Power 4 team. So that definitely doesn't count for this weekend. And maybe I won't wear one for the rest of the year. Who the hell knows? But the Canes came in and absolutely obliterated, embarrassed, mopped the floor,
drained
a lot of other adjectives.
Drained the swamp.
Drained the swamp. I mean, it was about anything that could go wrong for the Gators did, about everything that could go right for Miami did. What happened was, some of my fears happened. I was obviously the offseason optimist. And you know what? That shit has flown out the window, buddy. Along with a lot of Gator fans. They're tired of seeing the same old song and dance. And it's like, I don't even know what to tell you, so flowers and kudos to the Miami Hurricanes. I mean, hey, I still did say I thought Miami was going to have a hell of a year. I did pick them still to win the ACC. I was hoping that the Gators were a well-improved team. And I guess the overreaction to how good is Miami. Miami might be really, really good, like really good. And Florida might be not as bad as what displayed, or they might just suck. So I'm on the train of we suck until they show us. So, it's there isn't really anything to say. It's just disappointing, embarrassing. It's just the same old shit, man. It's like it just looks bad. It looks bad. So kudos to the Canes. They deserve it. They fucking embarrassed us. All the taunting was just like, God dang, dog. It was there's already some great memes out there, all over the place that you're gonna be able to have for years and years to throw on. So I'll shut up about.
No, please keep going. No, keep going. You notice I didn't say anything. Go ahead, keep going.
I'm done. I'm going to let you go ahead and talk, good about your squad. Like I say, because, for all the things that were supposed to happen, to go,
not necessarily, not from my point of view. No,
yeah, well,
it happened.
Yeah,
not to the point of the scoreboard, but I told you last week, and I've been saying it. I think our trenches are way better than they've been in years, and Mario's done a great job of getting those big bodies in there, and it showed. It showed Saturday where we beat Florida up on both lines of scrimmage.
Definitely, and that's where going in, that was the biggest question mark I had too. Like I knew I was worried about our offensive line. I was worried about that, but I was hoping that Mertz was going to be able to get the ball out quick. I was hoping that maybe we were going to be able to create some stuff in the run game. We had one great run that got blocked, and and as Spurrier said, maybe we should run that play again. But
I think it was blocked, and I think it was just missed assignments. By the Saints and Damari Brown, where they both, like you, what did you say? Give up the get the edge.
You lost the edge on that one for sure.
You lost the edge on that one. But yeah, I mean, let's just go back through the game. We watched it together. The whole Cam Ward thing, starting the game off was wild because how he was so nonchalant about everything to start the game off. I thought, like, is he?
I think that's just his MO now.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Like just watching him play. But as the game went on, you're like, no, this dude is locked in and he's ready to go. Did it look a little arrogant at times? For sure. But I think that was just the confidence in going into a hostile environment. He's been told the last couple of weeks that, hey, this is one of those places you've never been in an environment like this. You can't handle it. And, on and on and on and on and on. And he just showed how confident he was. And to start the game off, we had a good drive. For the most part, and then just a dump on third down. Like there was 3 times I heard the swamp loud at the beginning of the game, before the third down that I was about to talk about, before the touchdown on the roughing the passer, and the long run. Outside of that, the swamp was no factor whatsoever, and he was just surgical getting down the field. and I can't remember who committed the roughing the passer. It
I
was
think it
just
was Boone.
yeah, it was. I just thought it was dumb. Like, that's not our football from when we grew up. You could do that to the quarterback. You can't do that today. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just made a hell of a play. If you go back and watch the touchdown pass, I mean, Jalen Phillips slides in because whoever's on the edge kind of faked like they were dropping back and came late. Not Jalen Phillips, Jalen Rivers kind of slid in to help with protection, and the end linebacker came in, and Cam just floated back and then just hit Cam McCormick, the 29-year-old, for a
Yep.
touchdown. And then just after that, it was just all downhill from there. I mean, if Cam doesn't throw the touchdown, I mean the interception, and if the guys on the defense contain the edge, does Florida even score in this game? It's a
Right.
realistic question.
No, for sure. Like I say, I mean, the only drive that was worth a shit was when DJ got in there late and it was kind of in mop up duty. I mean, he
Yeah.
had a couple of nice throws to Trey Wilson, who hadn't touched the ball in like 2 quarters. He had a couple of nice throws, a couple of nice scrambles, and Webb gets the lone touchdown. Besides the big run with Montreal, but like it was just again, I think the biggest takeaway I had was the offense is tired. There's nothing to it. Like apparently, like I read a clip earlier that Guidry said it was like we kind of went and clipped up some of their stuff, and literally it looked like they run about the same 5 to 6 plays, maybe change some formations, but it's a lot of the same stuff. And it was like very evident from like the first damn drive, you're going to run a tight bunch set, and let's just run Eugene Wilson on a jet motion. Like
I mean,
Miami
he was tackled by 8 guys.
Miami had 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, and then 6 was like lurking, like peeking over at. Okay, I know Trey Wilson's over there.
Yeah.
This probably is going to be some kind of motion. Let me watch what happens here.
Yeah.
He flew up, yeah, and it was like literally 6 dudes like in the backfield. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just like it was a gap filled in every gap on top of Khalil got whooped by his guy on the inside. And I mean, it was just like, here we go. First, like great 3rd down and 5. We're a great play call. Like this so imaginative, and it's just I haven't even gotten to hell, I don't even know if I want to. I haven't gone back and like watched like the all 22 or the film breakdown guy that I like to watch, like because I know it's going to be a lot of the same old stuff. And I think that again is where it goes back to what we've harped upon in the last year. Is Billy going to hire an OC? Will he hire somebody to maybe be a little bit more dynamic and maybe a little bit more, creative, or just coach the quarterbacks, be the general manager, listen to the OC, collaborate, all that stuff? And no, he's
Sponge. If he hasn't done it by now, he's not going to do it.
Oh, definitely not. He's definitely not. But what I'm saying is that's one of those things that we ask the question of, should he have done that? And it's very evident.
I've been saying that. I said that last season.
He's very I don't know. He doesn't exude arrogance, but it's just like one of those things of like, well, this is my way, and this is how I want to do it, and this is how we're going to do it. So again, offensive line couldn't block, which again, I was worried about that because hell, and Bain didn't even play, so it was like the rest
First
of that
drive
D
and he
line was
was out.
good. We couldn't run the ball at all, and then we were living in 3rd and plus, like anytime a team is in 3rd and over 5, it begs to be like you're going to be terrible for the day. And they were flat out awful on 3rd down. They had no yards to show for. And then on the flip side, all we hear all offseason is the defense is improved. We've got Ron Roberts in there to babysit baby Kirby, and
you mean Chris Farley, because it's a joke.
Yeah. So like, I don't even know what the hell he does. I don't know if he sits in the booth now, because I didn't even see him on Saturday. But no kind of pass rush. Then when you blitz, it's picked up too easily, or you're bringing safeties from too far away that ain't getting home, or you're bringing corners where they can be identified before he even gets there, and they can throw hot. So it's just like all that. And then on top of that, where I will say, I don't know, maybe our defense is not, maybe it is improved, but the sheer fact that Cam Ward is just like that was more so too, because some of the throws this dude made were just ridiculous. You know, that one that he threw to Restrepo in the back of the end zone. Or I don't even know if it was Restrepo. Yeah,
no, it was Jacoby George.
Yeah, that shit was
It was
crazy.
a laser.
I mean, it was like off his back foot too. I mean, he literally made one mistake in the game, and he didn't let it affect him. And then on top of that, the Gators didn't take advantage of that.
I think he was just great play calling as well. I watched some of the rewatched some of the game.
You were able to run the ball and all that. You were able to be balanced, all that. You know.
The biggest thing what most fans wanted this offseason was to get the tight ends involved, and they got the tight ends involved
on easy throws, man.
Yeah, you had Arroyo had 5 catches for 89 yards. McCormick had a couple catches, and then Riley Williams got in, great blocking. And then the receivers, Isaiah Horton, Sam Brown, Restrepo.
Horton had some big catches too.
Yeah, the Jacoby George with the big touchdown. I mean, how's Aces Turner's hamstring?
Yeah, I don't. He might have like snapped it in half.
Jesus Christ, Restrepo, who's not the fastest person in the world, put him in the spin cycle.
Yeah, he did a spin move to the sideline, and
like you say, the offensive line. The little bit I watched, it was more of an all 22. The Gator secondary wasn't as bad as you would think. Just when you get no pressure, he has all day to throw. And
I think that's part of it too. It looked like we were in decent coverage on some of the time. It was just great throws.
A lot of the times they were, and he just made
there was a lot of guys
that
who were running. There was a lot of times where it was like, God damn, this guy's wide ass open. You know,
it was just one of those. It was a great scheme game by Shannon Dawson, and then like you said, on the flip side, Guidry did a great job with Ruben Bain going out. You thought that would be an issue, but I think Elijah Alston, Tyler Barron, Simeon Barrow, Akeem Mesidor, that front four did a great job. The linebackers, Kiko and Besant. The only negative Besant play I had was, like I say, on the 71-yard run where he just got to get on the outside of that tight end when it's just the tight end over there. But other than that, I think the Canes, I still want Mario to kneel the damn ball at the end of the game. You have nothing to prove. Just kneel it. But, I mean, overall, I thought the Canes came out and they had a great game plan and they executed it. I'm not going to get, I enjoyed the win like all Canes fans did. But at the same time, that's one game and you got to move on to the next one. This week is FAMU. I don't care. I don't care what anyone says about, 11-1, 12-0.
They're going undefeated, baby.
No, this is the same thing just like last year with Texas A&M. They had a big win against Texas A&M, and then next thing you know, it melted down. I think we have a better quarterback this season than we did last year.
This is what I was going to ask you was, if Cam Ward goes to the NFL and you're stuck with Tyler Van Dyke, what's the score of that game Saturday?
Well, it didn't matter. Tyler left.
Well, let's just say Tyler stayed. Would y'all have won that game?
No, probably not, because he would have made every bad decision.
Yeah,
knowing the man. He wouldn't have made
bad. It's so bad that was your quarterback last year.
Yeah, he wouldn't have dumped it off to Cam McCormick in that play. He probably wouldn't. Then the thing is, Shannon Dawson probably would have had no faith in him to run a lot of the plays they ran because he would have tried to keep it simple. For some reason, Florida thought, let's just rush 3 and drop 8. Guys, that was last year's quarterback. Yeah. This quarterback is not going to make that mistake.
Yeah. Plus, he's great at even getting more outside and letting the play even go longer.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's not really a runner. I mean, he'll run if he has to, but he wants to throw the football.
He did that early in the game to create first downs. But what I mean by dropping 8 and basically getting outside the pocket just to create longer.
100%.
He does a great job of, I'm elusive out of the pocket. Y'all only got 3 guys chasing me, and guess what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna find my guy, and then bing.
Well, and then the biggest thing from last year to this year, that you could tell that Shannon Dawson has more trust in him, to where they're not keeping a tight end and the back end, where they were a little bit more delayed. They had more passes, like I say, to the tight end. Some of the play calls, they weren't like the greatest play calls ever, but it felt like the good play calls they had were like perfect timing, like the screen to Arroyo. No one was looking for that, and he just hits him, just flings it out to the side, and they got up the field. So, like I say, the next 2 weeks, get the running game going, continue getting the passing game going, because there's still a lot of mistakes going on.
Martinez was a monster. He had
Yep.
big runs. Fletcher's
Yep.
going to be good. Like y'all going to be fine there. I think it's more so of you got a high powered passing offense is going to be your number one thing. It's not going to, you don't have to lean on the ground game, which is, Mario wants to be a run first physical team, but that's not the makeup in a sense with the quarterback play you got. What's showing now again, which we always know when it comes to any football. I don't care if you're talking about pee-wee, high school, college, pro football, NFL. It's who is your signal caller? Who is your quarterback? And if you've got a good
but
quarterback,
you don't have to throw the ball for 350, 400.
I know what
the
that's
guy
not what I'm
getting
saying.
I know what you're saying.
What I'm getting at is you guys got Cam Ward, Florida State's got DJU, Florida's got Graham Mertz, Georgia's got Carson Beck, Clemson's got Cade Klubnik. Suck, good, suck. That's what I'm talking about. If you ain't got a quarterback, you guys had Tyler Van Dyke last year. If y'all would have had Cam Ward last year, we're talking about a whole different story. That quarterback play is so.
But I think that's a lot of different people. But I just don't see every game being an aired out game because that's just not what Mario wants to do.
It's not. But I'm telling you, I think it is going to be y'all's way y'all are going to play this year.
No, I get what you're saying, but Mario's going to be like, let's run the ball, shorten. Yeah, they're going to want to shorten the game. That's just what he wants to do.
Yeah, against FAMU and Ball State, y'all can do whatever the hell y'all want these next 2 weeks. Y'all can fucking play. Y'all could probably play y'all can play the water boys.
But at the same time, going into ACC schedule, you don't want to just sit there and be heavy pass. Like every time you put the ball in the air, there's opportunity to get the ball picked off. Like I say, there were some passes he probably shouldn't have thrown. Restrepo made a hell of a catch in the middle. There was a couple, dicey throws he had.
Yeah,
he had a hell of a game.
He's going to have bad throws. He's going to make mistakes.
No, I know that. But what I'm saying is the DNA with our head coach is going to be we're going to run the football and we're going to try to have a balanced offense. That's just what it is. I mean, everybody and their mama could sit there and say Cam's going to throw 400 yards a game, but that's not what's going to happen.
I disagree. I think y'all are going to be that team this year, but I think obviously you're going to lean on the run. But I mean, hell, who gives a shit? You're going to throw for 400 a game. You should be happy with that. I know Mario is definitely what his game plan wants to be.
Of course, we know you want to throw the football, Sponge, but that's just not how he plays. That's not how he's going to call it.
You never know. He might change it because he's got it's kind of like Saban. Saban never wanted to do that either until all of a sudden
it's going to be game to game.
I agree. I agree with that. My thing is, you guys are sitting pretty, just like I thought after this game.
It is one game. Like I just think people are overreacting. It's one football game. You
guys are dominating Florida A&M and Ball State clearly.
I'm not even talking about Ball State. I'm not even talking about that. But the same thing.
Virginia Tech looks terrible. Vandy beat Virginia Tech, so that's an easy game. It doesn't,
Sponge. The thing is, I hate when you do this because you always. It doesn't matter. Idaho just gave fucking Oregon the number 3-4 team fits. So you can sit here and say, "Oh, you look good this week." It's a week to week. If they don't stay focused and they don't go out and play the game like they're supposed to, they're college kids. They could go out there and we're supposed to beat this team, and then
you sound like 1958 Woody Hayes. We got to take it one game at a time. Like you guys are clearly better.
What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do?
I agree with that.
No,
but
because you're going to be the same guy if they lose to Louisville. You're going to be like, how did they lose to Louisville?
I agree. I agree. It does. But what I'm saying is you guys are better than everybody now. So you can't have those lapses and you can lose games. It can happen. Like it does. But what I'm saying is you guys now, here's the thing. That shit doesn't happen to Georgia and Ohio State. So you're on that.
Are we in that realm?
Is
Miami in the realm of Georgia? Are they in that tier?
I'm putting you right under the tier of those top.
They're not anywhere near that tier.
Because you're going to the teetering on that tier.
I don't.
You're in that. You're in the second tier. Hell, everybody was projecting you guys to win the ACC this year.
Okay.
Like a lot of people. Like if there's tiers in football and it's Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, or whatever.
How long has it been since Miami been relevant?
59 years. Now it's been like 20 years.
So you're going to sit here and tell me after one football game against a sorry ass Florida Gator team, we're automatically in tier 2.
You're back, baby.
Off of one game. That's the overreaction that drives me nuts. But then then you and Joe sitting there Saturday like, oh, look at him down. No, I'm not downplaying anything. I know the reality of what Miami has been since 2002. It's just the expectation. You have a couple good games and a big win, and then the U is back. You're not back until you make it to the playoff, or hell, win the conference for the first time.
Yeah.
So it's easy to say after beating a bad Florida team.
That's the whole other thing too. Is like,
yeah,
it's like we're terrible. Like, but everybody's like, you went into the swamp and drained it, baby.
But then again, who's to say? What if some way somehow he rebounds and wins the next 3 or 4 and kind of rights the ship a little bit, but then you still got that back half that you got to worry about.
That's what I'm saying. I'm reserved to be like, I don't believe in anything going on in Gainesville until they beat.
I agree.
Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Can you beat Kentucky for the first time in fucking 3 years?
Yeah. But what if we just beat a bad Florida team that just can't beat anyone?
I don't disagree with that either. Like I said,
that's what I'm saying. I don't get the overreaction.
I guess it's just like, the domination factor, and you see what could be. I guess is part of it. Is you have. Here's the thing. I guess Cam Ward. Where would you rate him as one of the top quarterbacks in the country? Like, is he top 5? Is he top 10? Shit. The way he played and the way
for week 1, he was top 5.
Exactly. So the projection of where I can see him. If he's a top 5 quarterback all year, then you guys are going to be in business. That's all I'm saying. That's what I see. Whether or not it
call me old school, call me Woody Hayes, call me whatever you want. Until they do it, they have to take it week by week. I hate the overreaction because we're not in the tier. We're just not in the tier of Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State.
No, you're
teams
not,
that
you're
have
not.
been doing it consistently.
That's what I'm saying. You're not, but it's like kind of like an Ole Miss, where like all of a sudden Ole Miss
they've been more consistent than Miami has.
They've won 9 and 10 games the last several years for sure. But again, I could see I'm putting you on tier 2 right now underneath all those teams because where you are now, you're ranked 12th in the country. So you don't think you're the 12th best team in the nation?
Talk to me in a couple weeks.
Dude, let me go back and look at this top 25. I'm like, I think you're pegged. I think you're pegged at the right spot. 12.
Talk to me in a couple weeks.
Like, are you better than?
So are we dropping Oregon? Are we dropping Oregon because they only won by 10?
I mean, they got dropped 4 spots, so I'll drop them to 7. Sure. Like they went from 4 to 7. I mean,
yeah.
But guess what? Again, they got to play somebody. They got to play Ohio State in a couple weeks. So. We'll see some of those games.
Like I say, it's the opening game. That's why I say don't overreact. You got to give it a couple of weeks or get into conference play. I mean, I know we're going to talk about Florida State and Boston College, but that's a different thing because you actually played conference games.
Yeah, I guess part of it is I look at the schedule. I'm just like, the schedule stinks. Like, y'all don't name the hardest team y'all play.
Listen, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
The schedule sets up so good. So you got to agree. You agree with that, though, right?
Listen,
you got to agree with that.
Answer my question. The last 4 or 5 years, every time Miami's made a run, what have they done? When they were 10-0 in 2017, who did they lose to? They lost to Pitt.
Notre Dame? Okay.
No, they beat Notre Dame.
Wait. Oh, that was
they lost to
Notre
Pitt.
Dame.
The other year, who did they lose to?
Was that when they fired?
Go through.
Was that still Mark Richt?
That was Mark Richt. Yes, that was the game where they played at the Hard Rock when they played Notre Dame.
No, I know. Bandy,
Notre Dame, Vatech, and UNC. In the last 2 games of the year, they lost. And that's all I'm saying to you is traditionally the last several years they have some dumb
Who was the quarterback on that team?
That was Malik Rozier. But they've had some slip up in the ACC. Until they show me they're not going to have that slip up, everyone can say whatever they want.
I agree.
But I'm just not going to believe it.
I agree. Well, here's what I'm saying is you got to agree with me here. Your schedule is way more manageable. You don't have a Clemson on there. You don't have a Notre Dame.
I am not disagreeing with you.
You got to play your rival in Florida State, obviously, who's freaking terrible. They can't stop the run nor rush the passer, or they can't do anything right over there. We'll get on Florida State here in a second, but no, Florida or Miami's schedule is great this year. It's like sets up perfect. Now the key is take it one game at a time, like you said. We'll go old school, take it one game at a time for sure. That's the way it's. I mean, that's the way.
Yeah, because why look ahead to October 26th when you still have all the games in between?
That's what I'm saying. So you just go clip
Of
them
course,
off.
I would love to play Florida State this week, but it's not going to happen.
Right, you clip them off week by week, get better. You know,
right? Like you say, the next
injuries happen. Whatever. Like I say, what if Cam Ward gets hurt? You know, like I just like Mandarin's quarterback, dude. You know, Mandarin's quarterback broke his foot.
No, I didn't see that.
Whole new story now. Whole new story for the Mustangs.
I mean, even for Florida State last year when Jordan Travis got hurt.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, injuries are going to happen in
that's just football. But like I said, I just think people overreact and get all happy after game one of the season, and a lot can happen the rest of the year. Like you say, if Cam gets hurt, Martinez gets hurt, you don't want anyone to get hurt, but that's just the nature of the game. And then what if you hit a little skid and then guys start checking out?
I'm actually glad Graham Mertz got hurt. So now we can have a Ingo Martin, Chris Leak situation. Give me Lagway the rest of the year, man.
Well, I think that's just a totally different, regardless if he got hurt or not. At some point, he's got to get some burn, because if you're Billy, you're on the hot seat. You got to put him in. You got to play him. I don't care what anyone says. You got to put him in and play him and see what you got, and at least show the fan base like, hey, it's not working with this guy, even though it's not completely his fault. But we're going to put this young guy in. And, you know, I saw people jumping up and down about his drive at the end of the game. But at that point, Miami's playing kind of soft and giving him the easy throws. And he took it, and he was zipping it in there. He got a touchdown. But this week, I would just go to him completely, honestly.
Yeah, well, I don't think Mertz is going to play. I mean,
as a concussion. So
that's what I'm saying. I don't think they're going to. I don't know where he is in the protocol or anything like that. Yeah. I know he didn't practice. I know he hadn't practiced. So you got to think that, like I say, this is one of those good situations, I guess, in a sense, or bad, you know, however you want to play it. Like his hand is forced because he has to play him. And so now all of a sudden you're going to beat Samford. Now the question is, can you beat them 50-0? You know, I don't even know if we could do that. So,
but what was weird before Mertz got hurt, me and you we were watching the game. It's like once the game got kind of out of hand, in the sense of like, why wouldn't you put him in and play him for a series or two?
Yeah, I mean,
what the hell you got to lose?
No, I agree. It's it's where everybody's, you know, wanting DJ to get benched in Florida State. You know, it's like, guess what? The backup's not better. That's the sad part. That's the reality of what fans don't realize a lot of times. Like these coaches would play the backups. They would. They're not just going to listen to you chant in the stands like, we want the backup. We want the backup. Like, the backup ain't playing for a reason.
Yeah,
he ain't better in practice. You know what I'm saying? They watch
but
these guys every day.
I still think they could have had a package or two with DJ.
No, well, what's weird is we talked about it before the game. Like, what is the over/under on plays that Lagway gets that weren't, like, you know, if somebody got hurt, like if Mertz got hurt, and you know, I said like 5, but they had no signs of putting him in my opinion, before he got hurt. I was like, damn, are they like they don't have any kind of wrinkle or nothing? So
yeah.
Like I say, we don't even have to talk about Florida this week. Like, there's nothing they can even do this week.
I mean, the game was the game, but like, what is it? What's the leash now? I mean, you go on a rant about basements in Florida and the fan base, and can't open a water bottle, and you can see you're nervous. Like he's in panic mode.
He's been getting roasted. You know, like from the outcome of the game on Saturday to, like I say, the post game to his presser Monday to,
like, you guys haven't given fans any reason to be there. To be honest with you, I never dreamed that many Canes fans would have been at the game.
Right? Yeah,
that was insane.
Again, like I'm done with them. I'm done now. I'm like I've like washed my hands with it. Like, it is what it is. Like I don't even think there's anything that I would want. I don't think there's anything that he could do for the rest of this season unless he won like 8 games, like I said before the year, to make me want to keep him. Like, there's nothing that he can do. I don't care if we win these next 4 games. You know what I'm saying? Like, there has to be drastic change, or the team has to play a whole hell of a lot different.
I just don't see that happening. I don't see
Me
it.
neither. I have zero confidence in it. It is
Yeah.
out the door, out the window. I have none, zero.
Yeah.
Like
Because a couple of those
there's
sacks those Miami edge rushers had were like just easy.
yeah,
They were going through some turnstiles.
there ain't nothing. Yeah, dude, that was even like guys like Shannon Snell, like the pick that Powell had. Like, I don't know if you saw that. Did you see Damian George, the Alabama transfer, and Cameron Waits, the other tackle that came from Billy with
Mhm.
Louisville or from Louisiana a couple years ago? The effort
It was terrible.
on that interception, it
It was
was like
terrible.
they were mall walking,
Yeah.
and it was like,
Yeah.
bruh. Like,
You
yeah,
gotta at least put it you gotta
Shannon
put a
Snell was
hand
like,
out.
get these guys. No, they weren't even near it, but it was just like the way it looked, you know,
No, that's what I'm
it
saying.
was
Like
like,
Barron came off that edge, and it wasn't the first time that game. It was several times during the
well,
game.
they got whooped for one on
Yeah.
the play to force the interception,
Mhm.
but it was the effort that they gave to even maybe try to go tackle the guy who picked off
I
the
thought he
pass.
was gonna pick six it, but
Yeah, I did too. Like I
yeah.
say, clearly you guys got the better Washington transfer, which I wanted him way over Asa Turner, anyways. But again,
Mhm.
another spot where Billy sucked and didn't get the right portal guy.
Yeah.
You know,
It's hey, find your next coach season. And the ridiculous part about it, guess who's everybody's agent in college football?
yeah, yeah,
Billy
the same
Sexton.
guy, the same guy.
The same guy. So you're gonna have to end up paying to get rid of Billy, and you're gonna have to end up paying the new guy. I
Yep.
mean, of course, rumor mills already started that the Gator private jet was in Oxford today
Yeah.
or yesterday.
Allegedly. Yeah. No,
Allegedly,
I know.
yes, sorry, allegedly. But at the end of the day, you got to go through Jimmy Sexton. So
Yeah.
what's going to really happen? I saw that the projected to pay him out was what, 28 million if you fired him.
Yeah, it's 26. Yep.
26 million. So you got to pay him 26 million to get rid of him, and then you still got to pay the new guy. That's probably going to
Mm-hmm.
make 8 to 10 million a year to come in there for 4 or
Mm-hmm.
5 years. So we're talking about what, $70 million?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. But you're in a better situation than the other team out west if they can't fire their guy right now.
Well, see, what's funny is getting into that. Well, we'll just go ahead and flip into the
Yep.
team out west. FSU, if for all intents purposes, the problems that are in Gainesville, at least FSU's shown their problems 2 straight weeks in a row. So maybe there's signs that we can clear this up against A&M in 2 weeks. But Florida State looks bad, and people are like shocked and surprised and all that. And part of me is as well, but part of me is not. I've always felt like I'll go back to talking about coaching. I've always felt like Norvell's been way overhyped. Like, he came from the same style of Memphis, like Billy. I'm not comparing Billy Napier and Mike Norvell, but what I'm saying, because he's obviously got wins under his
No.
belt.
I know what you're saying.
No, I know, but so I'm just clarifying that. But I've never been ultra impressed with Mike Norvell. Like, I always felt now where he did good was the fact that he landed a Jordan Travis who like hid and did a lot of stuff for them to where it kind of like they were just good. And then he did a great job of getting some of those guys in the portal that were really, really good players. And so
they bought in.
The fact that now you have 100% missed on this whole cycle is like a glaring sore that's like busted wide open, to where your defensive line, again, they're not getting any kind of pressure and they are getting pushed around.
Right.
Your linebackers are trash. Your linebackers are terrible. So like literally teams are now just literally saying, I can line up and run it 40 times on you and we're going to get positive yards. I mean, the two teams, Georgia Tech and Boston College, I think have attempted in 2 games like 20 passes.
Yeah.
They've been outrushed something like 490 to like 120 or something.
Yeah. Monday night's game was 263 to 21 was the rushing yards.
There you go. There was one point in time, I think, that they only had 2 rushing attempts.
That's wild. Especially with that backfield.
Yeah, on top. Well, Rodell Williams, he's been vastly overrated. Like he has not fit in well. I mean, maybe he just played well because he was at one of the best teams in the country with one of the best offensive linemen, Alabama.
Yeah.
the best player they have, in my opinion, at running back, they don't even get him the ball until
Tiafole.
Philly. Yeah,
Well, because they're putting him at wide receiver because they have no one else at wide receiver.
He touches it like once a game. The
Yeah.
other guy is their other dynamic playmaker. They get it to him every once in a while. The Lucas kid from the Indiana transfer, but he only touches it every once in a while. And then for every time DJ throws an errant pass, you've got like a drop ball from one of the receivers or the tight ends.
He doesn't need to throw it to Morlock ever again. Morlock should not be on the field.
He looked terrible.
He had 5 drops. Morlock had 5 drops.
He looked slow too, and one was in the end zone. You know, it was just Benson is okay at receiver. Portier's been there forever. He's a Miami guy, South Florida kid. He looked pretty good on that touchdown he had. But
it's just a mix. It's not all on DJ, but DJ's going to get the blame.
Exactly. DJ is not playing good at all for sure.
Yeah.
But guess what? There's so much other problems.
A lot.
It's just like, again, your offensive line can't block nor create any kind of run lanes. So you can't run the ball. So that's out.
A veteran offensive line at that.
Yeah, nor you can't protect him. So now he's thinking fast. He's going fast. You've got no receivers to separate. You got no receivers to create any big plays. So offense, defensively, we just said it. The D line is getting pushed around. Linebacker plays terrible, and then your secondary play has not been good either. So, they haven't really been tested.
I was about to say you can't even blame the secondary if everyone's just running the ball on you.
Yeah, so, what is concerning is like, where is this going to get corrected?
Yeah,
it can't get corrected unless you put new guys in.
I was telling Ricky last night. I just feel like if I'm Mike today, every position is wide open for competition. You take every name off the nameplates down and say, we have 0 starters. Every position is wide open. I don't care who it is, even down to coaching, because what we've seen the last 2 weeks is just downright pathetic.
Yeah, it's
There's
crazy.
no other way to put it. It's downright pathetic. And that's not, us saying this, people are like, oh, you guys are fans of the other teams and you're hating. No, just turn on the game. Like you just turn it on.
Real deal Florida State fans know, like, we got problems. Like,
100%.
They were talking trash about the Gators on Saturday getting blazed up by Miami, and then they kind of like, damn, I knew I should have kept my mouth shut.
Laid an egg.
God dang.
Yeah, because you can't let. And Bill O'Brien is a great play caller and a great head coach, but
he's a good schemer.
There's no way in the world Bill O'Brien is still gonna, with that team in Boston College who doesn't have anywhere near the athletes as a Florida State, just go in there and just whip you up and down the lines of scrimmage. And like you say, some of his DJ, he missed the open touchdown on the corner route. Don't know what the hell he was throwing. Morlock had plenty of drop balls. He put some in the dirt, and I would just go in today just telling everyone everything's wide open. But here's the thing, going back from what you were saying earlier, to piggyback off of the whole what's going on at Florida State. I think what it is, when the last couple of years, yes, you took on a Jared versus the Braden Fisk and on and on and on. The Keon Coleman's the transfer, but he still had a great core of guys that were already there. And so the guys that were there were like, they were already bought into Mike and said, hey, we got beat up and down the field the first 2 years that he was there. So those guys came in and they were like, hey, this is how we're doing it. We came here to win. Now with NIL, a lot of guys renegotiating, wanting more money during the offseason. They weren't sure if they were there, if they wanted to go, stay, or whatever. They got their bag. Now it just seems like they're not interested.
They're full. Well, here's somebody, Baloo, speaking of that, he made a great point. He's like, well, guess what? He's like, that's true. All three of those guys on the defensive line, they were there last year, went in the portal basically to leverage more money. Yep. And then the other guy left Georgia to go play at Florida State. So they're all kind of like, they all put themselves in the portal to ante up. And guess what? They did. They all got fat and happy. But guess what? Norvell did the same thing. So they're just learning from him. He did the same thing with the whole, Alabama wants to hire me, blah, 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 blah. Jimmy Sexton working back corner deals. Yeah. When no way in hell Alabama wanted to hire that.
No.
Like, Alabama.
I said that. I said that from the beginning. When that news got out, I was like, there's no way in the world they're going to hire Mike Norvell.
Mike Norvell is not a top 10 coach. He's not. Like, people have put him in the top 10. Like, I think he's a good coach. But
Yeah, no. He's a good
now,
coach.
well, now
But
all of a sudden, all right. Here's this is what I wanted to ask Steve when I was like, again, the record now is 2-10 without Jordan Travis at quarterback. When Jordan Travis is not his quarterback, he is 2-10. Like that is a glaring, alarming alert to be like, okay, what do we got to do? Are we recruiting the right quarterbacks? Okay, we did. They obviously whiffed on DJ in the portal. DJ is who he is. DJ's regressed, man. I've tried to been a DJ fan. I have, and like he's just so inconsistent. Like you just said,
bad.
What are you looking at? How did you miss that ball? Like okay,
even if he would just lobbed it and let the receiver run under it.
So can he improve on the year? Sure, we'll see. But again, how long until the natives are restless? Until
the natives are restless.
They continue to chant, "We want Brock," or we want Luke
Kromenhoek. But to me, you got a week off, and you could start speeding up that process. That's why I said every position should be wide open for competition. I just don't understand why he wouldn't do that. Because no, go ahead.
I mean, maybe no. I'm saying maybe he will like that. Maybe I think that totally needs to happen because the only time you're going to change is to be like, you know what, these guys who think they're good and they ain't playing, they're not playing like it on Saturdays. No. And guess what? They need to have their jobs taken. Because will he do it? I don't know.
The first 2 weeks have just been, it's just been effort, man. It's just been effort on the defensive line and not just wanting to play. And I don't know what they're teaching them on the defensive line. A lot of it is they're getting out of their responsibilities with all the eye candy, with the motions and the shifts and all of that, because you just see guys just jumping out of a hole and then trying to jump back in, especially at the linebacker position. They're steady out of place. Because like even if the defensive line does a decent job of holding up their guys, those linebackers are supposed to come in and plug the open holes. And they're not even doing that. DJ Lundy looks lost out there. And you're just like, yo, man, what are you doing? You're supposed to be the heir apparent to this position. But they just have so many problems. And to me, they just got to start basic. And Mike can't blame anyone about the play calling because, like Billy, he's the play caller. Yeah. Like, what are you calling?
Like I say, where this thing gets dicey is we were talking about their schedule set up well. Like it was supposed to set up well for them. Yep. They were going to get Georgia Tech in a off-country game, come back home and get a Boston College team early in the year with a new coach and Bill O'Brien.
Then you get
Memphis. You get Cal, SMU. Like now, again, that Memphis and now SMU game at SMU, we talked about that could be the sneaky, scary game. That is a damn sure scary game. That's a team that can throw it. And then, by the way, you still got Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame on there. So it's like, you already got 2 losses. So those are potential 3 more losses. Not even talking about the SMUs. The Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame games, that's definitely they're going to be trending.
They're trending that way.
They're going to be underdogs in those 3 games.
Yeah.
So that's 5 losses. Then you mess around and lose another, like 6-6. What does that look like a year after you go 13-0?
Yeah. I mean, especially after the players and the fan base crying about how they got left off the playoff. I just think last year is last year. This year is this year.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's time to those guys got to say this is a new year. Like I said, I know I sat there and talked about Miami losing in the past to ACC teams, but that's just been the trend for the last several years. But going into this year, your Patrick Payton's, your big money guy, it's time to shut up and play. You sat there, you negotiated, you begged for more money, they gave you more money. What have you done the first 2 games? You haven't did squat.
He's been terrible. I don't think he's been in the box score in one of the games.
Squat. Like Marvin Jones comes over, highly touted. Nothing. You got Daryl Jackson that came from Miami, sat out last year. They were begging for him to play last year. He's on not Stuart Mandel's, Bruce Feldman's freaks list. 600-pound bench and this and that, and he's getting blown off the ball. And you just go down the list and you just like, yo, who is going to be the guy to step up? And on the offensive side, it's like you need a receiver. And that was our fear when we did our Florida State preview. It was like, who's going to be that guy on the outside that stepped up? And I feel like if Tiafoli, if you're going to put him out there, just make him a receiver and go with it. You might as well, because you still got Cam Davis and Rodell to play running back. And like you say, Roydell don't look like the Alabama Roydell. So they just got so many problems. And you can't bring in the Alex Atkins things saying that he hasn't been there because Mike still calls the plays. And like Ballou brought up today, it's like if you're Florida, you're sitting there like, at least we could get out of this. They just gave Mike a 10-year extension.
Yeah.
They just gave him an extension. So like,
it was basically I know he's not talking about firing Norvell, but I guess here's the thing.
No.
Let's just hypothetically speak, because this is what we'll do. We'll just play fun here, devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Let's say they go 6-6 this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
No Florida State fan's gonna love that, obviously.
You open the season next year with Bama.
Yeah. And then let's just say, another 6 or 7 win year. Like now you're like, damn, is this who we really are? We're only undefeated or 9 win, 10 win when we have a guy like Jordan Travis, and Luke Kromenhoek's not the answer, or Brock Lynn's not the answer, or then all of a sudden you're like, damn, like that's just how quick things can change. So it's not like they definitely obviously can't fire him. They just signed him up for another 10-year deal last year.
Not just that, you're still paying Willie, you're still paying who else? Maybe Jimbo. I mean, you're still paying guys.
That was one of the names that Crane and Company brought up, like with the Gators hired Jimbo Fisher to come take over.
I would not touch Jimbo. Like that would be funny, because you know what? Jimbo's still a hell of a coach, and his biggest thing at Florida State was resources, money, and facilities for the most part.
And A&M gave him all that. It was just like,
didn't do anything.
I don't know why he couldn't get it right. I don't know why he couldn't get it right.
Yeah, the whole Florida State thing is baffling. I did not see them going 0-2. Like you said, we both had them at 9-10 wins going into the season. Maybe Clemson, Notre Dame, or Miami being the two of the games they lost, or 3 of the games they lost, but you still felt like, all right, they still got enough talent.
I thought they were going to go 9-3. I thought that they would lose to you guys, Notre Dame, and Clemson.
I think that's realistic, but looking at it now, it's like, whew, man, if they go 6-6 and get to a bowl game, but back to the whole Norvell thing, like clearly they can't fire Norvell, but what are the changes that are going to have to be made? Do you get a new offensive coordinator? Do you get a new defensive coordinator? Like the fans aren't happy, and I wouldn't be happy watching that. You want effort out of your guys. If you lose to Boston College and Georgia Tech, that's one thing. But the 2 losses have just been bad and just getting blown off the damn ball. The lines of scrimmage, which we thought were going to be the strengths of the Florida State team this year, have been god awful. And when you sit there and you watch it, and you're just like, what is it, 4 or 5 yards of carry?
Effort, no, for sure. And like I say, I'm going to transition into. I was going to go Georgia next, but Georgia's going to be quick and easy because they did what they did. Mm-hmm. But the other game that I think most impressed with over the weekend was USC LSU, which I think I was like. You look at USC and LSU the last 2 seasons. What has been talked about? Their defenses have been horrid. Lincoln Riley, we know his pedigree with quarterbacks and their offense, and we know Brian Kelly in LSU. We had obviously Jaden Daniels. You had the Joe Burrow years, so it's always pass-happy, big offenses. So you knew that both of these teams offensively were always going to be good. It was just like, why can't they just be decent on defense? And they both brought in new coordinators. USC got rid of Alex Grinch, which was probably Lincoln Riley's best decision he's ever made in his life. Mm-hmm. And then I love
him because that was one of his best friends.
Yeah, for sure. But hey, it is what it is. There's all's fair in love and war and coaching and all that. But I loved LSU's hire of Missouri's quarterback or coordinator from last year. I thought Missouri had one of the top defenses. I wanted his ass, but hell, we weren't going to fire who we got. But
the reason why I say that, because been there, done that.
Yeah, but he
was Manny's guy. He was down in Miami. Was he Manny's? So, yeah.
Oh, was he Manny's guy?
Yeah.
I never knew he was down there with Manny, but I like him as hell. It showed on Monday night or Sunday night because LSU and USC's defenses did look different.
Oh, 100%.
Now, how good are they? We'll see as the year goes on. But
Miller Moss had a hell of a game.
Yeah, both Nussmeier and Miller Moss played great. It was just you go back to Brian Kelly
coaching.
Bitching at the end of the game about did they not?
Nope.
They were playing to lose, not lose. They didn't play to win.
I put that game 100% on coaching.
Yeah, and it's more so. LSU was in business, but they didn't get it done when they needed to.
Answer this: why? Kyron Lacey had 7 catches for almost 90-something yards.
He was nasty,
and guess what? He was nasty in the first and second quarter. Yeah. How many catches did he have in the second half?
Yeah, I don't know what the game plan was I mean, but part of that is like Nuss has got to get him the ball too, I guess. But I mean, just
Sponge, you
again,
tell him
offense.
you got to get
Yeah,
him
yeah.
the ball, and then the 2 third downs off the top of my head. The one in the first quarter, well, they went for it on 4th down. The quick third down in the second half, like, what are you doing? And then the
Well,
third down in the red zone where Nussmeier looked like he's about to call the timeout, but he ran the
they
play.
yeah, they should have. That was just a time. Like I think the clock was running down. They didn't want to get a delay. Then he didn't call timeout.
Just call
They,
timeout.
they were all off kilter on that play for
Yeah.
sure, and then it kind of screwed everything up.
But the one third down, it was third quarter, fourth quarter, where Will Campbell had a false start, so they put him behind the chains, and they thought they had something against the defense, and he called it quick. They got back to the line of scrimmage, and like everyone knew they were going to run the football on third down. It's like, yo, man, slow down. Like, if that's what you're going to do, we need you to run a better play than that. That's why I say I put it on coaching. Like, some of the decision making on the offensive side, which is BK's side, is like, yo, what's going on here? I think they blew the game more than USC won it. I'm not trying not to take any credit away from USC, because I think the whole Lincoln thing with Caleb being gone, the circus is gone. So now Riley can sit there, get back to basics, and say, hey, this is who we are. This is USC. You don't have to worry about the circus. You don't have to worry about all the media being there 24/7, and they can just get back to playing ball for the most part.
Yeah. No. Again, totally. And like I think Miller Moss, like people had questions about him. Obviously, he had the big bowl game where he lit it up. But he's kind of an unknown in a sense, and. Yep. Like 378, man, he lit it up. Both quarterbacks only had 9 incompletions each, and they both threw for over 300. Nuss had 300. Obviously, Miller Moss had 378, which was big. John Emery running for LSU. He was a 5-star that like just kind of just got lost for a little while. He was running hard, dude.
Yeah, well, he had the injury, and then they say academics kind of slowed him down, and he got everything back in order, and he's back out there. And I think they kind of got away from him a little bit in the fourth quarter as well.
Yeah, no, I agree that it was like he was in there and he was toting it. Then they had Josh Williams or Caleb Jackson in the game, and I'm just like, man, give it back to Emery, dude. He's running harder.
Hard.
I think USC ran it enough to keep him honest. Woody Marks looked good running the ball. Obviously, Kyron Hudson had that
hell of
freakish. I mean, like maybe top 10 already for the season.
Yeah.
But Kyron Lacy definitely looked the part of a new and upcoming Justin Jefferson, OBJ, like all the litany of Jamar Chase, Neighbors, BTJ. Like he's the next guy. So now it's a combination of. I forgot they got the kid from Liberty who I really wanted Florida to get it as well. They didn't get. He looks like he's going to be a playmaker. Aaron Anderson, number 1, looks good. Obviously, Mason Taylor. So again, LSU.
And then Hilton not playing hurt a little bit, just from an experience.
I think standpoint. I think LSU actually, like I'm retaking back my statements I said last week or whatever week preview going in.
Yeah,
I think LSU actually is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too.
I was going on like LSU. They got to replace a lot, but I knew Nussmeier was more than capable. He's been there. It's his turn, all that stuff.
Yeah, he's been there a while.
I was more so on the tune of I'm buying Tennessee stock and I'm lowering LSU, but now hell, I'm buying both Tennessee and LSU stock.
Yeah. And I like LSU's offensive line. Problem was they couldn't get a running game going for a little bit until Emery came in. And I think going forward, he should be the starter. And they should be able to run the football. But I just think the coaches got to do a better job of putting him in better situations, especially on third down.
All right, here's my overreaction stock buy on USC. You can tell me if you agree with this or not. If I was to repick my college football playoff, I would have USC in and I would have Penn State out. I think USC is going to be
Penn State's Drew Aller's your guy.
I know, right? Well,
and I was actually going to give Drew Aller some credit today.
Miller Moss, I've completely bought in. No, here's all I'm saying. I looked at the schedule.
We'll see in 2 weeks.
Guess what? They play Michigan in 2 weeks. Michigan's got a tough.
They got a schedule, dude.
And I think Michigan definitely is going to go through some lumps. But
no. I'm talking about SC. I mean, they still got to play Michigan. They still got to play Ohio State.
the big
they
one
don't play
is
Ohio State.
they don't play Ohio State. See,
They
I
play
think
Notre Dame at the end of the year.
they
That's
play
the
Notre
last
Dame.
game.
They play Notre Dame, but they play Penn State. So, and they play Penn State in LA. They don't have to go to
Yeah, all their
Mobamba
tough
Land.
games are for the most part.
Yeah, there's no whiteout.
in
So
LA.
my reasoning by saying, okay, if I was to switch it, I'd be like, I'm going USC to be the third team in the pack, or the Big Ten behind the other Pac-12.
We need a fine bucket.
I know, Oregon and Ohio State. So I think I'm still like, obviously Ohio State and Oregon, but I think if I want to go a faux pick, I think USC could go 10-2, and
it's week one. I'm not going to overreact.
No, I'm just saying. What do you think? What do you think? Like, is that out of the realm? Like, hell no, you're crazy, Sponge. Or you'd be like, you know what? That's not a bad take.
I don't think that's a bad take, but I just got to see it just because of everything that happened last year with that defense. Maybe they just played a overrated LSU offense. I mean, we really don't know. I think LSU's offense, like I say, it goes back to coaching. People can sit there and say, well, maybe they never covered Lacey or whatever. A good offensive coordinator will find ways to get their playmakers the ball. I'm a firm believer in that.
Well, here you go. I agree. And here's the thing. I think if somehow LSU even won that game, I still would be feeling good about USC just because of that defense.
Yeah,
that defense, like it looked way different.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. This is the sad part. That's what I was hoping Florida was going to do, man. I was like, can we look different? Now, again, the overreaction to that is, hell, Miami's just that good offensively, and they exposed our defense to not be as good. But
when we talked about the whole Florida defensive staff thing last year, I truly was on the bandwagon. They got rid of the wrong guys. Like that was just my opinion, and I get it. I get it. They were causing a little bit of friction with the coaching staff and all of that. But I just the funny tweet I saw today was Armstrong, and they say count how many buzzwords he uses in this clip, and every word was a buzzword, and it was just like, does this guy even know what the hell he's talking about, or he's just throwing out their football buzzwords for the defense? Because that's what it felt like, and it showed that he has no idea what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, well, like I say, I think he's in way over his head. That's why they brought in Ron Roberts. The whole Corey Raymond thing, like, I don't have a problem with him getting rid of him, because guess what? Right. The secondary didn't look good while he was the coach.
He was a recruiter for the most part. We all know that. That's what he was there for.
And like I say, hell, we weren't getting the guys. We weren't getting like his best guy was the guy who's been sucking this whole time there.
The other thing about LSU is, man, if Harold Perkins ain't going to make a play at linebacker, just put him on the edge and let him rush.
Yeah,
I don't think he played terrible, but I just don't think he was big of an impact as what you think he would be. But then again, you got to give USC, Miller Moss, and Lincoln Riley credit to where they weren't going to let him be a playmaker in that game. He had a couple hits off the edge and a couple of disruptions, but they, for the most part, they were getting rid of the ball.
Yeah, they were bringing that one blitz where the guy was basically, they were trying to like time it up.
Mm-hmm.
He got him early in the game. Perkins did. And then later in that fourth quarter, the guy came on the blitz. That was when they caught him on the touchdown where it was like free play. I mean, Moss threw a freaking dime in the side corner of the end. It was just like, dude, that was a fun game. That was in my opinion the most entertaining game of the weekend. There's a couple other good games. Obviously, like I say, we could touch on Georgia real quick. Just obviously,
all we need to touch on is Dabo needs to get out of his old ways.
Yeah. And Clemson stinks. Like I know I picked him to go to the playoff just because I guess I was trying to find another ACC
because they're in the ACC.
Yeah, I was thinking they're going to run the table except lose to Miami and maybe Notre Dame. Or I knew they were going to lose to Georgia, so I was thinking they were going to go 10-2 or something. Yeah. Again, Clemson. This is the other thing too. I think Clay Klubnik sinks. I think he sucks. I think he's just not good. He's been way not lived up to the 5-star billing. They don't have any playmakers. Like Maffa is what it is. Now, defensively, I think they're good defensively. They played Georgia tough for that about a quarter, but guess what? They can only hold up so long until Georgia wants to get rolling.
I think, Well, yeah, I think Carson, the offense started off kind of slow for Georgia. I think Carson's still trying to figure out who's going to be his guy. In the first half, it was really slow. You could tell, you could see it in him in his play that he's trying to figure out, all right, can I go to this guy? The running game really didn't get going until the freshman got in, who looked really good. Nick Frazier,
Yep.
he looked really good. And then in the
was
second
dynamic.
half, and then once Carson figured it out, they got that thing rolling, and I think Georgia's going to be fine. And what
Yeah.
a pick by Malachi Starks! That
Big
guy
dude.
is a baller.
First rounder, man. Like he's been good since he had a pick like that, like his very first game of his freshman year.
Which seems
And
like 10 years ago, but he's just played
he's
that many games.
he's a good player, like for
Yeah.
sure. Like him and Caleb Downs, like those are two of the best
Mhm.
safeties I've seen in
Yep.
kind of a long time.
But I mean, all this game, I just think Dabo has to get out of his way and just say, you know what, we're going to accept portal transfer guys. We got to recruit better.
I cannot believe
It's
like
his ego. It's his
it
ego.
sounds insane to be like Clemson took 0 guys in the portal, dude.
Yeah, it's
like
his ego because he didn't believe in paying the players, and he doesn't want to pay the players.
Well, there was basically this year there was only 4 teams that took 0 guys from the portal. Clemson's one of them. The 3 other teams are, can you name them?
The service academies, probably.
There you go. The service academies.
Yeah, I figured
nobody's transferring to Army, Navy, and everything.
No, I don't think it's simple as you getting it. You still got to go through a process to get in,
right,
to the service academies. Like it's not like, hey, coach, I just want to come play for the Naval Academy. It's not that simple.
Yeah, so I guess this is why I pulled up Clemson's schedule, and hell, they got a tough one against App State this week, dude. NC State looked bad in my opinion. Week 1, that was week 1 overreaction. Whatever.
We'll see against
terrible.
Tennessee this week.
Then I think Tennessee's going to blow their doors off. I love the line in that game, by the way.
Same.
But we'll talk about that. But at Florida State, that looks like an easy game now for Clemson. Like that defensive line should dominate Florida State. Wake Forest, Virginia, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Pitt, Citadel, South Carolina. Like I think Clemson's on the get right back. So maybe it is just, hey, you ran into a buzzsaw against the number 1 team in the country, Georgia.
Yeah.
Figure some stuff out. And here's the sad part. You'll be sitting there. You got playing the Canes in the ACC title, which is where I got them playing. So, and then both teams find a way and they're in the playoff.
Yeah. But we'll see. Like you said, we'll find out about
that's what I'm
NC State. Like I say, I think Tennessee is going to beat NC State as well. But something about the wacky ACC where you're supposed to win and you don't win. Like no one could figure it out. Like once again, Virginia Tech at Vandy.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It was Virginia Tech, one of the faux surprise teams. Could they be a team that can upset in the ACC? They look terrible. And now, granted, Vandy looked physical on defense. They were running the triple option. That.
Well, I didn't realize. Yeah, I didn't realize Jerry Kill was the OC now. Who used to be the Minnesota. He stepped down as the Minnesota coach a couple of years ago because of illness, and then he went to New Mexico. So he takes over the OC position at Vandy, and he brings his quarterback in, Diego Paella, I think is his last name, and he had 100 this week. I mean, when we watched a little bit of it, it's just like, man, Virginia Tech, you can't stop the same play they've ran 10 times in a row.
Yeah. And Vandy liked to give that game away on that busted coverage for the touchdown. And then, but
the missed field goal before going into OT.
Yeah. Give Vandy credit. They found out, clawed, scratched, got the win. That was definitely one of the surprises of the weekend. Everything else kind of went chalky. Obviously, Oregon struggled, but we had all the blowouts from the big boys.
Yeah, the Notre Dame TAMU game was kind of boring, but Notre Dame squeaked it out.
It was a defensive game. It was, and again, that's where I can't get a feel on how good either one of those two teams are. I think Notre Dame sometimes the last 2 seasons with Freeman have been. You kind of just can't figure out, are they good or are they not good?
But their schedule is cakewalk as well.
Exactly. So, thinking about Florida against A&M, watching that game is no, we're not beating A&M now. I don't care if they're coming to Gainesville.
Be out physical.
Swamp is drained, man. We're not going to have any.
Well, the thing with A&M is they're just going to be physical, like Mike Elko wants to be, and they're just going to run the football. So if they can't stop the run, I mean, it's going to be a long day. We'll see. What is that? 3 weeks from now? 2 weeks from now?
No, it's next week. It's not this weekend, but next.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know who A&M plays this week. They might have the week off, whatever.
Let's see what A&M got.
But while you're looking at the other takeaway was Colorado struggling against a really good North Dakota State team, and
Yeah.
they're going to have a long season, man, because they cannot protect Shador. He had 440 something yards passing, but
Yeah,
it's going to be a long year.
what's sad is I love their offense. I love Shador. I love Travis Hunter. They
I
don't
don't care how
they
much
don't
you love their offense. If you can't
I
protect
know.
the
That's
quarterback,
what I'm saying. They don't protect and they don't try to commit to the run. So, it's like you got to be able to run it a little bit just to keep them off of you.
I
So
mean,
it's just like,
even if you don't, you can run an air raid offense, but you still got to protect the quarterback.
well,
Now,
on the flip, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was just saying on the flip side of that, I think their defense is trash. I think it hadn't gotten better at all.
No,
In
but
North Dakota State,
they went up
they're
and
going to be
down the
tested.
field.
I want to see what Ryle is going to do because I mean he's still a freshman, so
Yeah.
like they're playing at home, so that should be a leg up. But the line's tricky on that. What do you think? Like
Right now, I like Nebraska.
Nebraska to win?
I like Nebraska to win just because I think Nebraska could probably man up those receivers and just send blitzes and knock Shador around. And at the same time, Nebraska, hey, can Colorado stop Nebraska on offense? Like you say, he's a true freshman at quarterback, but they have not improved, in my opinion. They are status quo of what they were last year.
Yeah, no, and they're basically what that means is they're basically going to say we're going to try to outscore you.
Yep.
We're going to go high flying, and again, what that does is like against a team like North Dakota State, where they didn't, in my opinion, did a poor job offensively. Is when you're playing against a team like that who's just high flying quick, like run some clock. Don't just snap it let that clock drain. Keep Shador on the sideline. Like milk the drive a little bit. To limit.
Sponge, I think they were trying to do that, but I think Colorado's defense is just that bad to where they were just getting nice little 8-9 yard plays.
No, I know it was more so just like don't snap it with 20 seconds on the play clock.
Yeah.
Like let the clock run down a little bit just to preserve time running off, to not get Shador and the offense back on the field so quick.
And then how long is Travis Hunter going to last? 1,200 snaps in 10 games? That's crazy.
I can't see that sustaining. I just can't.
No.
I love the kid. He's a freaking freak, and he's probably the best player in college football. And I've always said day one, when I saw the kid in high school, he's a better receiver. He is a receiver. Like now, granted, yes, he can go lock down, your best corner or your best receiver.
And that was a great catch he had. That was a great catch he had in the end zone for that TD.
Yeah, it was stupid. That was stupid catch, man. Yeah. Like he's phenomenal. But again,
that's a lot of snaps.
At what expense are you,
on his body?
Like I say, just keep him fresh, man.
For his career. I mean, you think about even for the season, for his career.
He's acting like he's going to do this in the NFL too, man. Like I can do this. I can do this all day, every day. This is just.
What do they always
say? Maybe he can. I don't know.
But sometimes, like they say, sometimes the coaches have to save the kids from themselves, and I feel like they're not saving them from himself. Of course, every kid's going to sit there and say, "Coach, I could play every game. I mean, every play, even with a broken ankle, I still could go out there and play." And it's like maybe they need to limit him on some drives on defense. Like he's too explosive on offense not to have on offense, but I truly think that they could like, hey, Travis, you need to take a series off or whatever. But I mean, before we get into week 2, some highlights of this week for me was the running back from Boise State with the 267 and the 6 touchdowns. T-Mac at Arizona with the 300 yards receiving in the 4th.
Yeah, that
was like 7-on-7 video game-ish watching him and Fafita on Saturday. I know it was in New Mexico, but that was nice, it was nice. Ryan Williams, Jeremiah Smith, both true freshmen having big days. Like it was a good weekend for the most part. Hopefully the season keeps building, and I think we're going to build once we get to week 4 or 5. It starts getting really better.
Yeah, we talked about how the slate. It was good this week when you add in those like Sunday games and the Monday night game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It stretches itself out, so you get to watch, some standalone games. It's good because you can just key in and watch that LSU USC game. And don't have to worry about what's Texas doing? Let's check the Texas score.
On this. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you can watch those, the slate was good. Now that what I think these next 2 weeks, there's only like, 1 or 2 like big intriguing matchups, and then kind of just like, well, we'll wait and see. There's going to be a game.
There's a couple games I'm interested to see this weekend.
Well, definitely, obviously the number one game
nothing like
Well,
other than Texas,
I mean,
Michigan
I was
this
about to say
week.
that's
Yeah,
a top 10. That's a top 10 game, and
yeah.
then obviously we just talked about Colorado, Nebraska. We talked about Tennessee and NC State. So
Interesting with Michigan going with a walk-on quarterback to start this week.
yeah, I don't like. I never bought into the Alex Orji. I mean, he only played sparingly last year.
He
Brought him
felt
into
it
certain packages.
didn't it feel like Joe Milton all over again
Yeah, I
when Joe
never
Milton was
felt.
there?
Yeah, I never felt like he's a strong thrower. I feel like he's
Yeah,
more of a running quarterback. And, I
yeah.
mean, again, that brings a nice element to it. But
You got to do
I mean, the
more.
good part is Michigan. Michigan had one of those not like easy games, but like because Fresno State's always going to play you tough.
Yeah,
And they still pretty much won by 3 touchdowns. Didn't cover on my bet because they only won by 20 instead of 21.
I like
But
Texas
whatever.
this week. I think
Yeah,
Texas is going to win by 10 plus.
Yeah, I think Texas is going to cover. Yes, the game is on the road, so the big house will be rocking. But
If it was October, November, I would think that would be a bigger deal. But I think Texas has been there. They played at Alabama last year.
yeah,
They played the Red River. They've been in big environments. So
that's
them
what I'm
going to
saying.
the big house is not going to be, I think, a thing they got to worry about. They've been in those situations. They just got to go out there and play. With the running game, don't know the latest on their running game, but I still think that their wide receivers are just good enough. They're good enough on offense to beat Michigan.
Yeah,
And if you're throwing a walk on at quarterback in game 2, that means you have some problems on offense.
No, for sure.
It's not Baker Mayfield walking on.
Yeah, let me go look at the stats from last week. Their game against Fresno.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, basically Davis Warren was 15-25 for 118. Like that ain't gonna get it done against Texas.
Donovan Edwards do.
Yeah, and like I say, Donovan Edwards was even worse. 11 carries for 27 yards.
Yeah.
And like again, what they always said about Donovan Edwards is weird, man. It's like Blake Corum, Blake Corum was the guy.
Back.
Blake Corum was their guy, and everybody had to key in on him. And then Donovan Edwards was that like lightning, like all of a sudden, like, oh damn, we've been dealing with 2 all game, and all of a sudden 7 gets in there and just out of there. Yep. So what they're saying is the guy who actually had a better game. I remember I was reading up something about it. Was the Khalil Mullings is the guy's name.
Mm-hmm.
He had 15 carries for 92 yards. He's more of he's the 6'2", 230 back.
Oh, he's what they want to be. He's what they want to do. Yeah,
exactly. So it's like let's pound this Mullings guy at you. He rushed for 100 pretty much against Fresno, and then bring in Donovan
Edwards
in the spots. But obviously Edwards only had 27 yards on 11
carries.
Again, so
you can't throw a walk on against Texas in game 2 and think you're going to win.
I agree. So that tells me that they have no confidence in Alex Orji, who he basically, I didn't see the highlights of this game at all. I just know he was 1 for 2 with a touchdown. So it was a goal line situation. They probably ran some kind of read option motion stuff, something. And that was their touchdown.
They have no faith in him.
Yeah. So they didn't give him any more throws than that. And the other kid threw it for 118 yards. You ain't just going to line up against Texas. Now, granted, they lost some of those guys on that D line, but I think Sark's done a good job. Yeah, he's done a good job recruiting. I mean, they shut out, Colorado State, who at least had a respectable offense last year. They still have Horton at receiver. They limited him. He didn't do nothing. Like I say, I feel like Texas defensively will be fine, and they're gonna freaking score. They're gonna Michigan's D. I mean, shit, they lost a lot of guys on that defense even last year, Michigan. So I like Texas. I think the 7.5 is. I think that's a gravy line, really.
Yeah, I agree.
But I guess give me your other surprise. We talked about you like Tennessee big, or you like. I mean, we talked about I like Tennessee big against NC State.
I like Tennessee big.
Nico looked good. Their offense looked good. NC State looked terrible against Western Carolina and the boy Kerwin Bell. So
Kerwin.
I think I don't know. I haven't bought into NC State. Now, Grayson McCall was one of the quarterbacks that some of the people weren't in the portal a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. Stayed at where was he at college? Who's at Chanticleers?
Coastal Carolina.
Coastal, yeah. And he finally transferred to NC State, and it didn't. I don't know. Just didn't translate to me. It's game one, so I'm not going to overreact on it. But I just
Yeah.
NC State, they've been mediocre the last several years. They've won a
Yeah,
they'll win a big game here and there, but they're not like
yeah.
NC State of like the Philip
As long
Rivers
as
days. And
as long as Nico doesn't turn the ball over and it could get that high powered offense running, that veer and shoot, I just like Tennessee in that game. My favorite game of the year, Iowa State. Will it go over to 35 and a half?
That junk's low. That junk's low. I was like, yeah,
I think it's actually 30. It's either 35 or 38.
I
And it's
know.
just like I still probably would take the under because they always play each other tough.
Okay, so the question is, do you take the under, and then who you got? You got
Iowa.
minus. It's -2.
Yeah, I'll take Iowa in the -2.5.
I think I like Iowa -2, and I think it goes over. I'll go.
You think
over.
so? I mean, I was thinking about that, and I need one more week to see the Iowa offense.
No, I agree.
So,
they scored 40 against a high school team.
yeah, but you did realize that Kirk wasn't there.
Yeah, no, I know.
Kurt was suspended, so he could shut that all down this weekend if he really wanted to.
Run it again. No, I need to see it as well. Iowa,
So who do you like in the Colorado-Nebraska game? Nebraska.
I like Nebraska to win. I don't know if the touchdown. Because I feel like it could be a shootout. So
I think the total's 56. I thought that was pretty low, 56 and a half.
Yeah, I feel like that's low too because I feel like Nebraska. I just don't know. I don't know where I want to see Nebraska's defense.
Yeah,
I didn't get nothing against UTEP. Obviously, Matt Rule is going to want to play defense, but again, Shedeur and those guys can light it up offensively. They can throw it around the yard. Now, can they protect? Obviously, no, but they can protect. In a I don't know, man. It's weird. Everybody's kind of picking Nebraska, so it's like I would not be at all surprised if Colorado. It's not like Nebraska is Nebraska of old.
Yeah, especially with a freshman quarterback. Even though he looked pretty decent in game one, he's still a freshman in that in a big game environment. Good thing it's at home. Yeah, I mean, can they stop the Colorado offense? If they can't get pressure on the Colorado offense, Colorado could put up 35-40.
Yeah, no, and that's where I think it gets dicey. But like I say, I'm not betting that game just because I don't have a feel on it. Really, I made a bet the other day, just a quick one, just to throw it out there. I was like, let me get these lines where they're at now. But
even what do you think? I just threw this one on my notes. Boise and Oregon. I mean, yeah, Boise State versus Oregon at Oregon. Oregon -19, total at 61.5.
Yeah, I like obviously like Oregon,
but
I know I don't know what to think of that. Like why they played bad. Like I didn't obviously watch it.
But go look at Dylan Gabriel's numbers.
No, they were
41 or 49.
Exactly. They said if you look at the box score in that game, you're like, how do they? Yeah, he had 400 yards. Like it was crazy.
They couldn't score in the red zone.
Yeah, so that'll get corrected, I think.
No, I agree. And that's why I've been harping this whole podcast that it's week one. They're still figuring themselves out.
We're overreacting to the Canes being in the national championship.
No, you're overreacting to the Canes being in the national championship. I know you're trying to sway me. You've been trying to get me since Saturday. I'm not falling for it. I'm not buying it. Like they got to show me, just like a lot of these teams have to show you.
I'm gonna start wearing my Miami shirt every podcast. Just I'm a fan now. I told you I'm hitting the portal. Nope. I told Cooey, I was like, I'm gonna wear the Reggie Bush jersey every podcast.
As
going with Lincoln Riley,
stay in Alachua County, sir.
Again, I don't even want to jump on the band. I just feels weird going with Bama without Saban. Even though Big Bill's repping Roll Tide, he's like, he's like F these Gators, boy. We ain't going to Gainesville, man. We'll down to Tuscaloosa.
Oh, one more before I'm sure we're about to wrap it up. Well, Utah, our pick to win the Big 12, Baylor at Utah. I mean, -14. Cam Rising's on a mission, man. I think they're going to win. I don't know if they'll cover, but I think they're going to win.
Yeah, you can't Baylor played Tarleton State week 1, so you don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what. I don't know what Baylor's got.
Yeah, you just don't know if teams are playing coy. Like
Well,
even
like
like us talking about Tennessee and Ole Miss putting up 60 something points.
yeah, well,
Are you going to do
here's
that
one for
against
you.
a team with a pulse?
Here's one for you. We talked about the team that like shouldn't have been playing this team because they were going to murder these kids. Arkansas Pine Bluff, had to
Yeah.
run 10-minute quarters in the second half. Arkansas looked like man beaters and scored 70 points.
Well,
Do they have any fight or any upset special to beat Okie
Oklahoma.
State and Ollie Gordon?
I mean, it is Mike Gundy and his Oklahoma State. Anything is possible with them. I think Oklahoma State should be able to pull that one out in a close one. If they, I mean, having Alex Bowman back, they should be able to get it to the receivers. I can't think of the receiver's name right now. That's pretty good, little small guy. I think Oklahoma State's gonna win that one with their defense.
Yeah, so the line's only 7.5 on that one. Is that
Yeah,
is
it's
that
a, it's a
is
small
that a
line.
tricky line, or should that be an easy cover?
I wouldn't touch that game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch it.
What about Georgia Tech finally ranked playing against the Syracuse Caboose? The coach said, Ohio State, I need to send you a bottle of champagne for getting my boy Kyle McCord.
Kyle looked good. Kyle looked good on Sunday. I don't know.
That line's only three. That's only 3. That could be a sneaky good game.
Is at the Dome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Georgia Tech, all of a sudden, everybody's Georgia Tech. I will say this: Georgia Tech has been feeling themselves because obviously one of my kids plays totally. But are they feeling themselves a little too much?
Hey, until they lose, why not? No one had any expectations for them.
Yeah, you get brought back down to reality, having to go, on the road to Syracuse. Yeah, you beat Georgia State, but like I say, it's conference game. To be held, it could be 2-0.
That's what I'm saying. That's the thing about the Florida State game. It's like not only are you 0-2, you're 0-2 in the conference.
Yeah,
like that to me, that's the bigger thing for Florida State. Even if you right the ship, you're still 0-2 in the conference.
I got another one for you.
I know you're gonna say Cocky and BBN.
That's it. That's
the one I'm going with. I knew
the 3:30. The 3:30, not CBS but ABC game, which is just weird still.
Terrible. One, it's weird. Two, that is a terrible game to be the 3:30 game, which might be a good game. I like Big Blue Nation to win. I don't know I don't know what to say about Carolina, man.
I know it's weird. One of our buddies at Channel 4, he's a huge Carolina fan, and he was like, "Yeah, we got ODU, man. We should be all right." It's like
they struggled
23-19.
Yeah, right now, I would say BBN right now to win.
Yeah. Cam Newton's not controlling NCAA 25 with you, South Carolina.
They better figure out a way to get Rocket Saunders and
Nick Harbor
the ball. They better figure out a way. Like I say, me and you were talking about, somehow that guy's been getting talent there, and he just hasn't been doing anything with it.
Yeah, I like, put it this way. I can see Beamer getting fired this year too. Billy and Beamer, they're both going out. They're both getting the axe this year.
Yeah.
Like I say, the wood is being piled in Gainesville.
So give me your 5. Give me your 5.
What, for this week?
No, give me your 5 to replace.
Oh,
the kid.
I mean,
let's go ahead. I mean, why hide around the bush? It can change every week as of today. Obviously, I know Lane's your number 1.
Yeah, the pipe dream is Lane Kiffin and Dan Lanning. Could we get Dan Lanning to leave Oregon? Which I don't think so, unless they backed up the Brinks truck, times 10. But it'd be Lane definitely. The question I had for you that I threw out there was, where would an Urban Meyer be on this list?
I wouldn't touch him with a 10.
Is the game? I just think the game passed them by.
If you're Florida, you can't go down that path again.
Yeah.
Everything that has come out from during the Urban era, you just want to leave it. I get that times are desperate down there and you want to win, but I just think you can't go down that road. You just can't.
Here's what really sucks, and this is the honest truth, and I even thought this years ago. I think they overreacted and fired Mullen too soon. I think the overreaction of him not recruiting was like an overreaction. It's not like he had.
You could bring in recruiting coordinators and people like that and just say,
you basically press him to be like, we're going to change this, we're going to do this, NIL had NIL. That was like right before NIL really even got kicking. So NIL helps recruiting. It's just a matter of, are you going to bang the drum on it? I loved Dan's X's and O's. I mean, shit, that was the last time Florida dominated Georgia.
Yeah.
In that game in Jacksonville.
He's a hell of a play caller. There's no doubting that he's a hell of a play caller. I mean, it was just
he got hung up with not having the right defensive coordinator as well, because that year his demise that year was, you think about they lose that game at A&M on the last second field goal where they fumbled the ball away. Then you had you dominated Georgia. Everything was looking good. You were in the right place. And then you have that debacle of a game at LSU at home with the Marco. That's where Florida's program has gone downhill.
Ever since Marco threw the shoe.
That's been the effing curse, man.
Yeah.
And so so that game didn't even count. And then you go play Bama, who ended up going to win the national championship, and you play a toe-to-toe heck of a SEC title game. You just didn't have enough anyways in that game, but there was nothing on the line anymore. The season was done. Then everybody sits and you get blown out in the bowl game. And then, like I say, it's been downhill ever since. He wasn't recruiting. But again, you basically hired this guy and it looks shittier and it hasn't gotten any better. So it's like, again, I look at Dan Mullen, he's just sitting over there retweeting, laughing at all this. So the other guy,
can you blame him? And you're paying him to do
that? I think I would be doing the same thing. It's hilarious. I'd be like, yeah, F you. I'm going to rub my nose in it.
So that'll be 3 coaches.
The other guy,
Muschamp and Billy, you're paying.
Yeah, it's bad, man. It's been bad since it's literally been Spurrier and Meyer.
Yeah.
Like even going back to the Zucker, shit. The Zucker didn't lose games to freaking Kentucky and damn Vandy.
Yeah.
The Zucker won games against Georgia and Florida State and Tennessee. So it's just
according to Joe, you guys don't have any rivalries right now.
Yeah, because we haven't beat a rival.
The Florida Georgia game is not a rivalry.
We haven't beat a rival.
Kentucky is not a rivalry.
The only rival we've actually beaten was Tennessee.
That's it. How crazy is that?
It's pretty bad, man.
I mean, I hate to say Florida Kentucky was a rival. It's never really been a rivalry.
Yeah, that's not a rivalry because we beat them 35 years in a row.
Right, they just own you guys.
Yeah, well, they beat us 2 out of the last 3 years.
And that one year, remember, that was the game Felipe got hurt.
We actually won that game.
I know that's what I'm saying. The game you won was when Felipe got hurt and Trask came in and won the game.
Yeah, you're going back to when Mullen was still the coach.
So that was 4 years ago. So what? It's been a pretty close series.
Well, this year it would be 3 in a row if Kentucky wins if they win this one this year. Yeah, so like I say, we don't like. I was thinking about it. Like that's the thing. You go back to the Spurrier days when I was a kid. Like we don't lose to. What I was thinking was somebody Virginia Tech fan. Like, hey, Virginia Tech fan, how does it feel to lose to Vandy? Like that's a team like Florida never lost to. But guess what? We actually lost to effing Vandy a couple times.
Exact. My point exactly. The standard is not what the standard is because that's just it's
asinine.
It's 2024, man.
Granted,
Kentucky's been good.
Scrap Vandy. Good. Yeah, Vandy stinks. Kentucky's got Stoops has brought them to they're a relevant program.
If he was in any other conference, they would
9 games a year.
Yeah. If he was in the Big Ten, they would be like, this is the 3rd best team in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And he probably would have been able to knock off either Ohio State or Michigan in that time period he's been there.
Yeah.
The ACC, he probably would be the 2nd best team in the ACC, 1st or 2nd.
The other 2 coaches, the one you brought up, I've kind of like maybe changed my tune on it just because I like his offense. Would be Fish just because he's been a Florida guy.
He graduated from Florida.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. He's a Florida guy. Yeah. He's been at Miami. He knows the state. He's been in Jacksonville with the Jags. He doesn't bring that cachet of a name. Obviously he had a big season last year with Arizona, And it was like obviously the better job came at Washington, more money, moved to the Big Ten, all that stuff. Because you would have loved to seen him with those two guys we just talked about.
Yes.
Statistic wise, obviously, it doesn't matter who's calling the plays. Those are two dynamic players.
Yeah.
But I guess Jedd Fisch would be an interesting name that I wouldn't be mad at. And then the other one would be Lance Leopold at Kansas, just because he's been a program, as Joe would say, we need a program builder.
Yeah. No Kerwin?
I mean, we talked about Kerwin.
I still like Kerwin. I get his age. His age probably would mix him.
That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
It's I just think.
But if you couldn't get anybody else, you can't keep skipping over Kerwin. You could bring Cade back. Just got to hire a good defensive coordinator. I mean, what kid from Florida wouldn't want to play in that offense?
No, that's where I got to see. Again, they're not going to take a flyer on Cade Bell is the offensive coordinator. Like he might be the next best. Hell, the other guy too that I keep always bringing up just because of who he's been with the whole time is Glenn Schumann. Like my boy Schumann at Georgia, he's now the defensive coordinator. He's been there with Kirby. He was with Saban and Kirby. He came over with Kirby. He was Lanning's linebacker coach. He's been in the program. He's been in the system.
Yeah.
The problem with that is he's a defensive guy. So that's not what Florida hires. They don't hire defensive guys. Now, could you break the mold and be like, hey, this guy is going to be your next upstart guy like a Dan Lanning? Then what it comes down to is he's got to hire that hot big OC. Who is
Jason Candle? You could hire Candle from Toledo.
No, that's where you got to figure it out. And it's so it's again, maybe it is Cade. Maybe all of a sudden Cade lights the damn ACC up for 500 yards a game.
Yep, we'll see at Pitt.
So I don't know. Again, they got to fire Billy first, which I think is inevitable, honestly, because again, I just don't think it's going to get any better. So now,
and it might be too early to fire him because you're going to be like, hey, if we're going to pay this guy his remaining $28 million, we're going to make him earn at least until game 6-7.
Exactly. That's how I feel too. Like we're not. I don't want to go interim coach Ron Roberts week 3 against Texas A&M. So
to make it go from bad to worse.
yeah. So, again, you still have some alleged winnable games. To whereas if you are improved and you just ran into a buzzsaw of Miami is really good, then go wax Samford. And then come back to Gainesville, against A&M and knock them off.
I don't think we'll find out anything this weekend.
No, not at all.
Other than a W.
Not at all.
At least from the fan point of view,
the game better not be close. That's all I'm saying.
For sure.
It better not be one of those. See, I think that was part of other. What year was it that we played a damn shootout with Georgia Southern or something like? Not the one we lost to Georgia Southern. But it was a couple years ago where we actually were in a shootout with one of these Duck schools, late in the year. And it was like, are we literally beating them 70-50? It was something like that. I don't remember what year that was.
I can't remember.
Who the hell was it, man? Now I got to go look. Now you got me. Yeah, it
was
bad.
You
got me worked up now. I really, you know what? I digress. I'm not really worked up because the part of it is I don't even give a shit. It's that bad now. That's where it is. And a lot of fans are like that to where I'm not going to games. I'm not showing up. Hell, I've gotten to the point where, I don't even know if I want to watch y'all anymore. I'll tune in. I'll tune into somebody else.
Hey, the funny part, we should have said this earlier, but the best was Saturday, sitting there at halftime when you looked over at me and were like, man, this game's over.
I told you. That's what I'm saying. Great point. Way to bring it up.
I was telling Ricky that he
knew.
Was just like, no, he didn't. I was like,
you said it to who?
To Ricky.
Yeah.
I was like, he looked at me and said, man, this game is over.
I don't care about that 4 quarters crap Rick likes to throw up there. I already could. The writing was on the wall.
Oh, I loved it.
It was literally because we talked about it. It was the way the flow of the game was going. Miami was in clear control, and then the biggest thing was we said it was the drive after the big run. And what's crazy is you guys didn't even do anything with the ball on that drive, but you stopped us again. And that was the problem. You guys got it back with about, I think it was 6 minutes to go. Maybe it was 17-10 game. And you guys went 3 and out.
You know the best part?
We got it back. It was like we got it back, and it was like, okay, can we go tie this thing? And instead, we went 3 and out, and then you guys got the ball with like a minute left.
You know what was awesome to
It was
see?
like bing, 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 bing.
It was awesome to see
That's why I was like 2 touchdowns. Forget about it.
It was awesome to see 10 to 15,000 Canes fans down in that corner going ape shit.
Yeah,
because remember, Canes fans don't go to games. Canes fans don't do this and that.
That was the other thing too. All of your big touchdowns were down there in that end.
Oh yeah,
like
a lot of recruits.
You had the first touchdown on the other end, but then the rest of them were all the big touchdowns were all at the north end zone. Yep. You know, that's the end zone that we sat in. That was where our season tickets were, in that end zone. And yeah, like the recruits at the end of the game, like, you know, the Miami, like it was just, like I say, the optics of everything could have went wrong. So yeah, I have zero confidence in anything. So surprise me, I guess, you know. And again, the sad part is, like I said it before, Florida and Florida State seasons, they're over after week 1, dog. And what I mean by that is a 6-6 year is not successful for Florida nor Florida State. Yeah. And like, in a sense, that's the best I think that both of them could do. So neither one of them are running the table to go freaking 10-2 or what, you know what I'm saying? So it's out of the realm of possibility.
I mean, if I had to pick between which two of the teams could make a run, I would say Florida State, but I don't see it. I can still see Florida State getting to 7 wins, but
yeah, I could
watching everything. Yeah, just because of the schedule would allow them to get to 7 wins, but both teams are on par. And are you going to watch the Florida State game?
That's the big one right there. What are the records going to be? Because here's the thing. If you say, all right, let's look at Florida's next 4 games, and you say, let's look at Florida State's next 4 games, what would their records be if they flipped the schedules? You know, Florida, if you know, Florida played, you know, SMU and Cal and
the SMU game. Memphis. I think SMU could beat both teams, but
that's what I'm saying. That's
the only thing for SMU is, can they, as bad as Florida State's defensive line has been playing, does SMU have the guys up front to still block those guys? We know Georgia Tech and Boston College have those guys. Florida State still should have been able to dominate both lines of scrimmage against those 2 teams. But I still would have to say right now, you would assume that SMU's lines of scrimmage aren't as good as Georgia Tech's and Boston College.
Right. Well, here's one for you. I got one. In Florida's most difficult games left on the schedule, let's pick. Tell me who you got. Would you pick Florida State to beat any of these teams? Would you pick them to beat Texas A&M? No way, Faro. No way you would pick them to beat Texas A&M after you just watched them get bullied by Boston College.
No, I agree. The only thing that scares me about Texas A&M, can they score enough points?
Yeah, I mean, shit, Boston College scored 28. I'm just you ain't got to score enough. You ain't got to score a lot. All right, fine. All right, fine. Watch that. Would you pick Kentucky to beat Florida State?
As of today, I probably would.
Would you pick Tennessee to beat Florida State?
Yes.
Would you pick Georgia to beat Florida State?
We just watched that 7 months ago.
That's what I'm saying. So now would you pick LSU, Texas, Ole Miss? Would you pick all of them to beat Florida State? Yeah, you would. So if Florida State had Florida State had the Gator schedule, they'd be in the same damn position.
The problem with Florida State, if they had to play all those teams, they probably couldn't score enough points. They couldn't score enough points, man. No. And that shit.
How much yards would Georgia run for?
Hey, and what Tennessee runs, that veer and shoot. If you can't handle the simple offenses of Georgia Tech and Boston College, that veer and shoot that they run up there in Knoxville, and then what Lane runs.
That's what I'm saying, dog. Yeah. Like I say, the Gators are about to get all that. They're about to get all that wrath. So I like I say, I know we ain't beating none of them teams. So
I love it because three weeks ago you were in here arguing with me about how y'all winning 7 games. Oh, you can't see them not winning 7 games, and you said 8 games, and you got on your high horse.
I never said 8 games. I never said 8 games.
You said the standard was
I said 7. And I said 7 before I watched these 2 that I counted, Miami and LSU. Like I say, my tune has completely changed. And hell, even watching A&M, I was like discrediting A&M
Yep.
because
Oh yeah,
again,
you start yelling
I
at me
thought
about A&M. You start
I
yelling at me
thought
about
that
Mississippi
Florida
State. You told me I was crazy to think
we better
A&M
win
was
it.
going
We
to.
better win. No, the game that I was the most disappointed in was losing to Gas Malzahn and UCF at home.
Yeah.
You know, which hell
That was number one. A&M and
very
Kentucky were
plausible.
2 and 3.
Yeah, those were games that I'm like, you know what, we're gonna win those games because we're gonna be better, and we're not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can admit to being an optimistic fan. Like again, what I said that day was I'm not on crack saying we're gonna beat Ole Miss and we're gonna beat Texas, baby. We're going all the way. Like
I don't know
the
way how you sounded. You sounded like you thought that there was a possibility.
To beat Texas and Ole Miss
And LSU.
I did say LSU. I thought because I thought LSU wouldn't be as good. Like I didn't know how good their defense was going to be improved, and they lost a shit ton on offense. But guess what? When you look at LSU, what do we say they got that Florida State doesn't? When you talk about players like that left, like if you think about the talent acquisition that both Florida State, we'll use Florida State and LSU as an example. The talent that they lost offensively. Jordan Travis,
they both have lost a ton.
I'm just saying. Well, listen,
they lost the Heisman Trophy winner and who I thought should have won the Biletnikoff.
There you go. Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson with Malik Neighbors and BTJ. They lost some offensive linemen here. We want to go on the defensive side of the ball, but we'll just go offensively. So what did they replace it with? A guy who's been in the system for a long time, and then they added some good transfers at LSU.
Well,
and they still had a guy in place.
Well, and then 4 of their 5 starting offensive linemen have returned too.
But wasn't Florida State's offensive line supposed to be well improved?
No. LSU's offensive line is way better than Florida State. There's no comparison.
I agree with that.
No comparison.
But what I'm saying is we got told all year that Florida State's offensive line was retooled and they grabbed Richie Leonard from Florida and they got their offensive line was good. I'm just saying, like,
they had veterans.
Really, what it boils down to, honestly, is Garrett Nussmeier versus DJU. That's
yep. What Jacoby George do? Let's go. Oh, you can throw it down all you want. It got thrown down in the swamp.
It did. It got thrown down. I'll root for whoever beats Miami. Come on, somebody knock them off.
But it still don't matter. We still beat Florida. It don't matter.
It doesn't really matter.
Nope. We're on the FAMU.
That's it. It's moving on to the next week.
Yep. That's all it's about.
All right, my people. We wrapped it up. We've been yapping for
20 minutes.
A long ass time here. 142 on the ticker here. That's been a minute. So appreciate the long listen for whoever listened. We appreciate y'all. Come join us in the chat. Talk some shit. We stink. The Gators do. Miami Hurricanes, national championship bound. Florida State is in trouble. What's going to happen as this great college football season continues on? We'll find out with another week down.
Subscribe, share.
Yeah, hit us up, man. Hit us up in the chat. Hit us up on the like, the bell, subscribe, baby. Let's go. Let's do this. But anyways, appreciate y'all listening, and we'll tune in again. We'll do it again next week after we find out who's going to go up, who's going to go down. Holla at your boys. Go Canes. Them boys are throwing the L's out. Get the gat. That's my new team. USC, baby. USC. Cooey. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Peace.